North Korea lashing out over new UN sanctions. Overnight, the Kim Jong-un regime vowed to take physical action and retaliate, quote, thousands of times over. The threat comes after U.S. spy agencies spotted the country loading anti-ship cruise missiles onto a patrol boat. UN Ambassador Nikki Haley and Secretary of State Rex Tillerson both spoke about the importance of the strict new sanctions against North Korea yesterday.
It was a gut punch to North Korea to let them know the international community is tired of it, and we're going to start fighting back. At the end of the day, what we had to show them was, look, how many more ICBM tests do we need to see before we do something?
The best signal that North Korea could give us that they're prepared to talk would be to stop these missile launches. We've not had an extended period of time where they have not taken some type of provocative action.
Joining us this morning is Fox News military analyst General Jack Keane. General Keane, good morning to you. Always good to see you.
Yeah, good morning, Sandra.
All right, so these sanctions, are they enough to curb North Korea's nuclear ambitions?
Well, we honestly don't know. This is the 8th time we've tried sanctions since 2006, and obviously they have never worked in the past. North Korea got a nuclear weapon, and they've been conducting ballistic missile tests for years. And the problem we've had with sanctions in the past is while other countries have agreed to sanction North Korea, the rigor at which they have gone about imposing those sanctions have never really had the kind of impact you would want it to have. So is there something different here? I think so. And the reason is what we've been talking about, Sandra, for weeks, is this is a very dangerous, critical situation as we move towards a nuclearized ICBM capable of reaching the United States. The other countries in the region recognize the danger, and most importantly, it appears that China and Russia do. Obviously, they voted along with the United States. Credit Ambassador Haley for her accomplishment in achieving these sanctions with a unanimous vote, obviously a no veto. But here's the second thing. The other thing that's going on here is they also recognize that there's different U.S. leadership in the White House, and gone is the appeasement and accommodation of the Obama administration, and they recognized that this president is not going to accept nuclearized ICBMs in North Korea. So that has got their attention as well, because no one wants war here.
General Keane, it seems like this is dinner table conversation everywhere. People are trying to assess how real and how great this threat is to the United States right now. Could you give us some sense of that?
Well, clearly, they have developed an ICBM that's capable, as of right now, of reaching the continental United States. What we don't know is have they miniaturized a nuclear weapon to the point that they could put it on top of that ICBM and pass it through a re-entry phase. In other words, ICBMs, ballistic missiles, as the name implies, go up into space, come back in. And they have to go through a re-entry into that and stand the rigor of that re-entry program. We don't know that, but the analysts, and this is another one of these horrible leaks that take place, have leaked to the media that it's possible that they could have that capability by next year. I'm talking about Intel analysts. So that is what we're going on in the public media. But you can also tell the energy that Haley has, Tillerson, the entire national security team, the President of the United States, they receive intelligence briefings daily, and based on their energy level, this thing is around the corner. So time is an issue. The other thing here, Sandra, is it takes time for sanctions to really take hold. It takes months. So that's the other thing that's happening here. The clock is as much an enemy now as anything else.
And you do get that sense of urgency when you do hear from Nikki Haley and Rex Tillerson and his continued meetings over there. General, turning to the war on terror, defense officials told NBC News that the U.S. is considering a plan for airstrikes on ISIS in the Philippines. Secretary of State Tillerson is in the region this morning and says the U.S. has provided aircrafts and drones to help the nation fend off ISIS militants. They have plagued the country for months. General Keane, what are your thoughts on all of this?
Yeah, well, it shows that the threat in southern Philippines is growing. They've had a radical Islamist threat there post 9/11 for years. It became affiliated with ISIS, obviously, after ISIS gains its prominence and invaded Iraq back in 2014. But this makes some sense. We have special operations forces on the ground who've been training Philippine military for years. This is added capability, drones for surveillance, drones for also armed intervention. It's not a great large military presence, to be sure, but it's also one that the Filipinos will value significantly.
And I wanted to ask you also about the Pentagon, this new policy that it has announced about drones and the no-fly zone, General, allowing its military bases to shoot down any drones deemed a threat. That goes for private and commercial consumer devices trespassing on the property. General Keane, is that okay with you, that they can just take any of these devices down?
Well, welcome to this new world that we have, to be sure. I certainly never conceptualized something like that a number of years ago. But on Army bases for years, as national parks, our stadiums when they're occupied, all of our airports, they're all no-fly zones right now, and they have been for years. New military bases have been added to that list, about 133. Best of my knowledge, we haven't shot any of them down yet. But the fact of the matter is, the reality is our adversaries can use drones, terrorists can use drones as a weapon of choice. And we've got to be prepared to defend against an attack from the air as much as we're defending against attacks from the ground.
So the no-fly zone rule hasn't changed, but the addition of drones certainly has made things different. Meanwhile, General Keane, we have seen the president on his working vacation over the next couple of weeks. He was aggressively tweeting yesterday morning. We're seeing where he'll begin this morning. Where would you, and Rex Tillerson obviously is out traveling right now, how would you assess the current situation as far as the Trump administration's strategy, foreign policy, at this point in time? We're 200 days into this administration. How are things going?
You know, I think on foreign policy and national security, they're going pretty well here. The president has taken a strong stand, and it certainly answered concerns that people had during the campaign. He has returned American leadership to the global stage, promoting security and stability. You see that in the Far East. You saw it graphically demonstrated in the Middle East with 55 national leaders standing there as he stood with them against the Iranians and radical Islam. And the same thing with our European allies. So American leadership in the world is back. Our allies are reassured by that, to be sure. And most significantly, our adversaries clearly are dealing with a different administration now as we sanction Iran, as we sanction North Korea, as we sanction the Russians and call them out for their aggressive behavior. The leadership has clearly made a sea change in terms of United States national security and our priorities. And I think this is a positive step, Sandra, and something that was needed for a long time.
And General John Kelly taking over as Chief of Staff. Things are quickly changing. General Jack Keane, it's always good to see you. Thanks for joining us this morning so early.
Yeah, good seeing you, Sandra.
All right.